Hi. Hi, world. Hi. How you doing? This is going marvellously. No one's here anymore. They've all gone. Right. Maybe. I hope not. It's public on. So, yeah, there's two. There we are. We're now live again. Right, we've got one viewer. That might be me. Hello. Hello. Hi, world. Again. Well, I mean, this is a good way of chewing up some time, I suppose. Right. Let me just quickly sort this out. Wah wee wah. Big oof. OBS. You've done it again. There we are. Okay. Cool. So. Right. Well, it's just us now. Yeah, we can have a nice chill one. So, hello everyone. I'm DM Dan. Welcome to Explorers of Elsewhere's Daggerheart Open Beta playtest. This is the first time I've said that this evening. Absolutely. Flawless execution on our part. Should I update the stream to let people know that? Yeah, probably. Take two. Sheldon is back in the house once again. Hello, everyone. Right. Okay. I think we're stable. We are unfortunately going to not have the fear and hope trackers on screen because for some reason OBS doesn't want them tonight. Just has had enough. Had enough of our larks. Okay, cool. Hi. How are you all doing today? It's good to see you. Yes, you have, yeah. Well, I mean, you've been busy chatting all week and convincing me to pull this 1 week forward in the schedule. So yes, we're back again. I won't ask what we're speaking of because that's an integral part of the session. We'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, how you all been? You all been good? Good weeks. Marvellous. Right, well, last week we started a small little indie game called Daggerheart. And we did some stuff and things. We introduced ourselves to a menagerie of characters. Twig, our goblin wizard. Ruby, our fungrel sorcerer. Greg, our freg rogue. And Goru, our Galapa guardian. Bonus points were handed out for everyone whose kind of heritage and class had some alliteration in them. But yes, you all embarked on a journey. Twig has been tasked by our good old king, whose name is, very quickly looking at the notes, one moment please. Why is it whenever I need something, it just disappears from existence? Emeris, King Emeris, you've been entrusted with delivery of this rather large crate. You've gathered together a cadre of your closest, quote unquote, question mark, companions. Yes, they are definitely the companions of all time. And you made your way to a small village called Hush, which lies in the middle of the large and mysterious Sable Woods, which is a impossibly large expanse of kind of near full cover canopy forest. You encountered some bandits along the way in the form of some ribbits and a halfling who did not fancy his chances. And yeah, and then you arrived at Hush, and we called it as you were kind of heading into the tavern, which was called the Clover. So yeah, just to kick things off, really. Have any of you had any sort of like additional thoughts on what we got up to last week? That you kind of had that came to mind over the space of the week? Was there anything you noticed that we did wrong? Anything that we did right? Things that you, in hindsight, were like, oh, actually, that was really, really, really fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that did kind of take us off a little bit off guard, because I think we took a glance and went, oh, that's how this works. Oh, hold up. Sorry, I think you lot are not coming through, because of course you're not. Okay. More technical issues. More! Because it would be too easy for there not to be technical issues. La 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 la. Luckily, it's just been me rambling for a while, hasn't it? So... I don't know why it's being... Why? The thing I love most about OBS is that I can change nothing and everything breaks the second time I go to use it. How am I going to do this? Okay, if I just bin you and then I add in... I'm binning you off. It's just going to be me talking. Yeah. I feel really sorry for the people listening, because they have no idea what's happening. See, it doesn't even know that this is... Oh, we are in the Tavern Between Dimensions. Oh, that's right. Oh, we're in the wrong chat. Right. Rah. Say stuff and things, everyone. Oh, okay, no, that's not it either. That's not it either. Right. Could everyone in Discord, could you switch across to the EOE recording one, please? Hello. Okay, so now if I do this, no, there's still nothing coming through, right? I don't think you are. Okay, so I could do one last.
OBS went, no, you said next Thursday.
Yeah.
It will be next Thursday.
I mean, that's not a million miles off. It's just not pulling through any audio, is it? Oh, Julia can hear us?
Wow.
Julia said she can hear us.
Okay. Yay.
Yay, Nate.
It's got yay!
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 Yay me!
I don't know what did it, but yay!
Ah,
Who knows? Who knows? Okay.
What
Hello.
were we saying?
Hello, world. Well, just real quick. On the count of 3, if everyone says hello a couple of times, an audience, if you let us know if anyone's too loud or too quiet. 1, 2,
Hello.
3. Hello.
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 Cool. Hello. Right. We'll let chat figure that out. Sorry, Nate. You were saying something really, really profound.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I think you must be mistaken. No, I was saying that last session, so after we finished the stream last session, we had a chat about basically obviously taking attacks and so forth. And I went into D&D brain and immediately saw like, well, this is my armor, thinking armor class, and went like, oh, this is what happens, this is what I go off when I get hit. But actually in Daggerheart, it's not by armor class, it's by evasion. And the armor, I mean, it didn't change anything because I still got twatted, but armor class is more, the armor is more to do with the armor slots that you get and how much you can use your armor to reduce that hit.
Yes.
And then take less HP.
Different kind of ideology behind armor, but arguably quite a cool one.
I think it makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how armor works.
Yeah. So I think that was our biggest discussion, to be fair. But yeah, cool. Otherwise it was all good. Tell you what, for editing purposes, we're gonna do a real quick reset. Okay, ready? Hi everyone, I'm DM Dan, and welcome to Explorers of Elsewhere's live Daggerheart Open Beta Playtest. Hi, this is the first time. This is the first time I've said these words tonight. This is a flawless start to our episode, and if you're not watching it live, you won't know why I'm lying. So seamless, utterly seamless. The magic of editing. So, yes, this is the first time we've at all spoken to each other since last week. There's been no prior discussion up until this point. I've got to do the recap as well. So we were introduced to Twig, Ruby, Greg, and Goru, our 4 adventurers who have banded together as Twig. Our goblin wizard has been given a task by King Emrys to deliver a package to the village of Hush, specifically to the Whitefire Arcanist. The Hush is a village in the Sable Woods, and you did it. You got there. I'm lying. This is like the 3rd time I've done this so far. Right. So we pick up where we left off. So you have just kind of arrived, sat down in the Clover Tavern. And just to remind you all, the Clover Tavern is a sight to behold, with multiple curving stories climbing the trunk of an ancient tree. This is the heart of the community, always crowded with music and good-natured conversation. Newcomers to the bar must take off their shoes and hang them over a line that stretches across the bar's ground floor. Inevitably, by the time visitors leave, their shoes will be shined and filled with small trinkets. We changed that, they're actually by the front door. As you enter, what would you like to do? And you have all kind of grabbed a seat somewhere in the middle of the drinking hall, haven't you?
Yeah.
Marvellous. In which case, so, as the 4 of you kind of plonk yourselves down in this tavern, and it's quite... It's somewhere between... It's on the setting between quiet and busy and bustling. So there's definitely kind of traffic going around. It's early evening, so a lot of the townsfolk are beginning to wrap up their day's kind of labours. And like people are starting to come in. There's sort of like happy, like chatter around some of you all. And who would we say is the most attentive of the four of you? Who's got the inverted commas the highest perception?
Oh, I was going to say, perception, me. I'm not very attentive.
Sure.
I don't attend to anyone.
fair enough. So your highest instinct. Well, so Greg, you notice that, like someone is like there's a small, So there's a small kind of human boy, like balancing on one foot, stretching up, attaching one corner of what looks like a large kind of fabric banner above the bar, and it's kind of draping down. And you watch as he kind of secures one end, climbs down off his kind of footstool, moves it to the other end, and then kind of starts doing the other one to give it a really nice, a pleasantly, like a very pleasant curve to it. You notice that the banner being strung up says First Moss.
First moss.
Was Greg actually paying attention to that, or was Greg just hoping that the boy would fall off?
Probably the boy would fall, to be fair. But yeah, First Moss is the name of the name on the banner. Or the word on the banner, I should say.
First as in First.
Yes.
Not as in thirsty.
Not as in thirsty.
Yeah, no, it's spelt First Moss. There we are.
First moss.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, you notice that getting strung up. But as the four of you, like the kind of the tavern keeper has already kind of taken an order, and as some drinks come round, the four of you have a chance really to kind of take stock of everything that's happened. And something that hasn't really been discussed is how you four came to be on this adventure together. Like, why was it that you four in particular ended up, like, Twig, why did you ask for these people? Why, like, who brought who knows who, etc. So I guess really, Twig, is you're kind of the architect of this particular group as per King Emrys's orders. Yeah, how do you know the others?
I feel like from the discussions that we've had, my first point of call was Goru, knowing that I needed someone strong that could protect me going through the Sablewood. So I think primarily I asked Goru, and then I think it kind of spiraled from there. I feel like Goru probably had conversations, which led to other people having conversations, because I don't know how everyone else knows each other, but I feel like particularly with Twig and Goru, and then other characters as well, like I think that's probably what started things off. So yeah, unless Goru would like to challenge me on that, but I think that makes sense that this little goblin wizard approached your door to be like, I have a very important mission and I need someone to help me carry a crate, and I'm not big enough to carry a crate, and not go this long on my own. So I might kind of ask him to help find a team, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with all that.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what, I'm just not going to bother trying to put the hope and fear on while we're talking. So in which case, like, Goro, how are you entangled with the others?
Yeah, so Goru, I would say since he's left his sort of original homeland area, and eventually met our various companions here, through each individual story, different circumstances happen, which is why our dear Professor Twig is asked for Goru's aid, and even though he is the kind of wandering sort, I don't think he would have ventured too far from any of the people here in this group, just because he doesn't know many other people. So it's very much like trying to keep any relationships he's starting to make as close to him as possible. So yeah, once he may got like a nod from Professor Twig, probably from he probably just found him near the shoreline or something, just outside the city or something, and then Oru knew where to find our ribbit friend Greg, and in turn maybe he wasn't too sure where Ruby might be hiding, but I can imagine whispers through the Black Network. Greg friend will might have some ideas as to how to reach out to Ruby and bring Ruby into the fold. And during these contacts as well, I can imagine being like, "Oh, so you know this person? Oh, I didn't realize you knew this person."
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think there's a bit of realization that we all kind of do know each other through different circumstances because we've probably been within the same area of the map. So yeah, I can imagine those sort of chain events happening.
Sure. Well, speaking of Greg, yeah, how are you? Hi, how are you? Kind of tied in with everyone.
I think Greg's a bit of a sort of collector of people. Knows everyone. Just everyone has the potential to be useful to Greg at some point. So I think he enjoys collecting, knowing people, because you never know who you need to ask a favor. So absolutely would. I think him and Goru would have known. He would have seen Goru and thought, "Well, you're massive. You can come in handy." Met Ruby. She's small. She can come in handy.
I see. It's a very.
She looks like she could fit in a box. You know, like she could... very handy.
Sure. Sure. So it's a very prestigious list of
Yeah.
friends that you keep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
companions.
You're really big. You're really small. You're wearing a cardigan.
Marvelous, wonderful. Okay. Well, in which case, small Ruby, like how? Yeah, how are you? Kind of, how have you known everyone? How have you kind of found yourself roped in on this?
So Ruby is a wanderer. She was part of a sort of wandering carnival or circus, and I think it was likely that she was going to meet sort of an eclectic group of people along the way. So obviously she's met Greg, she's met Goro. We have had conversations that Ruby actually knows Twig from a long time ago. But this has probably been the first time that they've actually seen each other in a long time. And so yeah, she's found like kinship with some of them. She's realized that Goro's got a good heart, that he equally likes nature like she does, and that he is very much a protector but also quite a lost soul, and she can appreciate that, and so she very much thinks fondly of Goro, and she probably thinks Greg is a bit of a laugh, so yeah.
Fair. Okay. Well, so as this kind of the web between you gets a little bit more filled out, the tavern around you, Goru, how does the second floor of this tavern look so wildly different to the first?
That is a good question. Just remind me the visuals of or the aesthetics of the lower floor.
So, you've walked in. The tavern is almost it looks like it's kind of carved out it's kind of hollowed out this very large kind of oak tree. So the rooms are inherently circular, with a slight depression in the middle, where some of the tables are. There's a bar kind of wrapping around one side, and then overhead there are effectively like rings, like the floor, they're like balconies, big circular balconies, and obviously staircases heading up to each. But it's in such a way that as you kind of sit in the middle of the drink hall and look up, you can see all the way to the top, and there's some sort of like soft magical light overhead, like fireflies almost.
Yes.
But yeah, specifically the second, and sorry, over the bar is this new banner that's just been strung up at First Moss.
So
you see everyone a bit happy. But yeah, what's
I'm
wildly
imagining
different to the second?
as we're sitting here, although we got the inside of the tree trunk that we're in, you got your tables and chairs and everything's got a bit of form to it. I imagine as we look up towards the next floor up, you'll see lots of material draped between different sections of the walls, almost creating this like kaleidoscope effect of fabric.
Okay.
And patterns as you look up. Very much, I can very much imagine being like a more lounge-esque type feel compared to the downstairs, which is a bit more bustling, a bit more the hubbub, whereas the upstairs a bit more a more calmer environment with all these softer fabrics and colors, different colors to highlight. It's almost like his own tapestry.
Okay, very good. And Ruby, what smell permeates the air throughout this place?
I think there's sort of a lingering smell. So what kind of day, what kind of type of day, like the time of day is it? Is it sort of...
It's like evening, so everyone's wrapping up, it's dusk, you would assume.
I feel like there's a smell of like sort of freshly cooked food, like breads and stews and things like that, coming sort of wafting from the kitchen area. I think there's also like a smell of just like a very slight sort of floral smell, sort of like where this tree obviously is. It's sort of seeping quite delicately through the bark of it.
Okay. Fio, Twig, what unique custom do you notice that the locals seem to participate in every time someone walks into the room?
Unique custom. I mean, my head has gone to the unique custom that we have in Britain whenever a glass is smashed, and everyone always cheers. And I feel like it'd be quite funny if anytime anyone walks into a room, there's just a cheer for absolutely no apparent reason. You are suddenly perceived by the entire first floor.
Yeah, but it's the cheer that you do make when a glass is smashed.
Okay.
So you're not quite sure how to feel about it, but it feels like it's in good humour.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that was the first one that came to mind, so I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, no, amazing. Okay, in which case, Twig, you kind of remark on this as a "Hooray!" erupts out through the hall, and Greg, at the sound of the cheer heralding a new arrival, what are the most noteworthy bits of the person that's just entered and been cheered?
person's just entered.
Oh, for Greg.
Oh, sorry. Go. Sorry, bud.
Most noteworthy,
Yeah.
a twirly ginger moustache,
Okay.
a small monocle, just a fairly tiny one, just kind of useless, just a uselessly small monocle.
Yeah.
Large pantaloons,
Okay.
trousers, and a voice that sounds like Brian Blessed.
Oh, yeah. Did that bit in on the end, didn't you? Okay. In which case, the dwarf that has just wandered in with a twirly ginger moustache, a small monocle, and large pantaloons. She notices the newcomers on the table in the middle of the drinking hall. Like, she sees the four of you. And you also notice that, like, perhaps part of the reason why the moustache is the twirly moustache is so notable is because her beard is impressively thick and luscious. And you also wonder what is in the large kind of keg barrel that she's got propped up on her shoulder. But yeah, she wanders in, kind of beaming from ear to ear, and then spying you, she walks on over, boom boom, with the barrel still in tow on her shoulder, and like she gets right up to your table and, "Hello!" she shouts. "What brings you to this part of town?" Thanks, Livvy.
For the record, I'd never have done this to you, Dan. Just
Yes. Yeah. She's asking. She's asking how. You know, what brings you here?
You've got quite a voice on you there.
Yes.
I like a woman with a powerful set of lungs.
I'm gonna have to keep this conversation. I'm gonna have to keep her responses to furtive nods. Yeah. What brings you here? She wants to know.
The first moss. Greg
You're
says.
here for the first moss, she says.
Yeah, it's my first moss. First moss. My first moss. Moss. First moss.
Oreo just turns his head towards you, Greg, and he's like, "Does that make me your second moss?"
Greg just looks at him. Maybe?
You're interrupted by the dwarf. If this is your first moss, how many other? Is this your first as well? She says, looking to the rest of you.
Well, I guess you could say that.
yes, I've never been to a first moss before.
What's your name, my dear, by the way?
Me, she says. Lausa. Spelt Lausa. Lausa. Yes, and this, like, you up close. Once you can get past the sonorous boom that comes out of her face every so often, you can see that there are kind of flowers kind of intertwined in her beard via their stems. She's got quite delicate kind of markings painted around her eyes, and so she's got a beautifully maintained curly moustache.
What a woman.
Oh yes. And yeah, like through all of this, like Goro, you're eyeing this keg, and it looks quite like cumbersome, quite heavy, and she's just sort of like stood there, just not a care in the world, almost seemingly like she doesn't even know she's got it on her shoulder. Yes, and she So you came all this way just for the first moss?
Well,
Immediately turns his head to Twig.
Well, I'm actually here to see the White Fire Arcanist as well. You don't happen to know where he resides? It'd be like maybe not tonight, but I'd like to speak to him at some point while we're here.
Yes, she says. I'm really sorry, everyone. I'm gonna have to chuck us onto a break because someone might have just crashed into Julia's car.
Oh,
Wasn't
Which was
in
the
it.
honking you might have just heard. We'll be back in a moment. Hi. That was not a break I was expecting to take. Everything's fine. We're all good. Okay. Hi. The car's fine. Sorry. Yes, she says. So the question being, do you know of the White Fire Arcanist? It's a long text block for a very loud voice. The Arcanist is quite busy, but if you've travelled so far, I'm sure she'll be more than hospitable. We would be lost without her. She keeps this whole place under a powerful ward, so that no danger from the Sablewood can pass into town. You'll find her house to the south, through the farmland. It's hanging from one of the old Sablewood trees. You can't miss it.
Thank you so much. That was really, really helpful. Like Twig is the kind of person that like
I don't think I got that. Could you repeat it?
Twig has very big ears. I feel like he's really suffering with the really loud shouting, but he's so polite. He's just like, thank you so much, as like his ears bleed. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. You also note that no one else in the tavern seems to be kind of earwigging in. This just seems like a very natural occurrence for Louser.
Can I ask a question, DM?
Yes.
Can I use my knowledge to roll, see if I can actually comprehend, or I see if I have heard of First Moss, so I know what we've got ourselves into?
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like that might be useful.
You can absolutely roll a is it comprehend?
It's knowledge, so it's a
knowledge.
+2.
Yeah.
So comprehend, analyze, and recall. So I just use Foundry for that. So as a normal roll, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, right. First roll of today. Let's go.
Ooh.
That's a 9 fear. That's
9.
great.
Mm.
So that's 9, 10, 11, 14 in total with fear.
Okay. Ha! I got to 1 fear. You. It's the sort of okay. So if it's with fear, let's say that you don't know, but you can kind of figure it out. So you're pretty sure, like you're 90% sure, based on what you're seeing, time of year, what's kind of going on around you, so on and so forth. But you notice on the way in, like there were, you would have seen some sort of like cropland as you made your way into, like after you went through the ward, and then made your way to the village proper. You noticed that there was like a fine layer of what looks like glowing moss on some of the crops, and given that like the time of year, you realise, oh, this is probably the round about the time where the crops are due to kind of ripen, and so like harvesting is going to begin. You're looking around, you can see people with lots of fresh fruit and vegetable. So you suspect that first moss must refer to that kind of glowing moss on the crops, and again, looking around, like the fact that they've got a banner for it. You can see another banner's gone up since you've been spoken very gently to by Louser. Like there's an arm wrestling table over there. There's there's a human lady setting out lots of pots of paint under what was effectively like a little wooden, almost like if you picture like a wooden lemonade stand. But on the sign above her head it says rock painting competition, and there's just lots of like pebbles on the kind of table in front of her. And you can see like someone has taken over one of the tables to turn it into like a trinket sales, like a trinket merchandise. It looks very similar to the trinkets that are being dropped in the shoes on the way in, you noticed. So you've got a pretty good idea what it is. You haven't had it confirmed, but you're pretty sure.
And GM, do we
Yes.
get the sense that this person we're speaking to is in fact like the bartender?
No. She unless, is there anything else you're speaking to her about, or is she free to carry on her day? Because I mean,
Gonna ask her.
she's got this big barrel over
Yeah.
her arm. She's just kind of waltzed in, like blown your eardrums out. But you kind of get the sense, like Gory, like you've noticed that a number of people have kind of been almost rotating behind the bar, seemingly, and there's a real kind of strong, everyone's chipping in community feeling. So whilst there does seem to be a person that is like the de facto tavern owner of the Clover, perhaps everyone's out in the fields working during the day, perhaps, and then everyone's helping muck in, like they're rotating the cooks round, maybe they're rotating the bar staff round. It's just like this was almost like a genuine second home for the people of Hush.
Okay.
And with that in mind, then looking at Louser, you wonder if she in inverted commas works here, but more so just she's one of the residents that chips in.
Ori will probably just lift up a clawed finger towards the barrel and say, Hope you don't mind me asking, what is in that barrel of yours?
Why, only the finest ale this side of the capital city! She shouts.
Wait.
Have we even got drinks yet?
Yes.
Question
Yes, you have.
above
Yes.
table.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. She very quaintly informs you that this is for the festival proper. This drink. Harvested from the first moss harvest itself.
Do we get the sense that this is a different beverage to the one we've got?
Yeah, I mean the one you've got is very good. Like it's very kind of wheaty. It's quite pleasant. But yeah, you can see that kind of burned on the end of the barrel that she's got, like the end facing you, is Stalwind Brewery stamped on it. And I mean, given what you know of dwarves, you wouldn't be completely out of place assuming that perhaps she is of the Stalwind clan, and this is just how, like, their contribution to First Moss. Ruby, you're quite au fait with smells, presumably being an air sorceress. There's a definite kind of fruitiness coming from this. Like it's definitely kind of been brewed into some sort of ale, but yeah, there's all sorts of there's a medley of forest fruit smells coming from this keg.
Ruby's gonna pop over and then kind of just go, "Oh, can I have a quick smell?"
The dwarf kind of nods to you, and then she kind of like heaves the barrel down onto the edge of the table, and Goro, you have to sort of like quickly like lunge forward and grab the other end of the table as the table like tips quite precariously under the sheer weight of this keg, and with a satisfying boom, like she uncorks pulls a massive cork out the side of the barrel, and this really kind of sweet the sweet fruity aroma fills the air.
I think Ruby's just gonna try and climb, sort of, well, pull herself up in it. She's gonna pull herself sort of on top and give it like a good old whiff. She's gonna be like, "Oh yes, snaggleberries and tootle pips. Yes. Oh, looks like you've got a good brew there."
Louser looks to you and, you've got a really good nose. And then she stops as she peers at your face, and like she squints her eyes slightly, and she doesn't finish the sentence.
Ruby's just gonna look at her like, not like offended or anything, just amused.
Yeah. This poor dwarf wonders where on earth your olfactory senses are.
Ruby will never tell.
Something I thought of. Do you have like weird, like, wibbly on the underside of mushrooms? They've got like the. Do you have that on the inside of your head?
I have like little folds, sort of like on the inside. So yeah, so
That's where
they
she's found.
usually when a mushroom gets like the full flappy bits coming out, that's when they're sporing. That's when all the spores come out. So, but she still has them all sort of neatly tucked in. She's not ready to spore yet.
That's all right. I'm okay with that. That doesn't set me off. Okay,
Set you off in what way? You'll never know.
So, yes, Lausa, for the benefits of all of our listeners as well, Lausa excuses herself because she needs to kind of deliver this. She, boom, like
How does she excuse herself, Dan?
Sorry?
How does she excuse herself?
Excuse me! She says, as she kind of wanders off to the bar, and just kind of like you see her disappear from view, and then you hear her, "Hello!" As she boom, drops this keg down. Yeah, how like you've been given directions to the Whitefire Arcanist at least, or at least you know roughly where to go in the village. Are you sticking around for some food, or are you kind of cracking on before nightfall falls?
Yeah, this is the question, wasn't it? Because just remind me. Sorry, you've already said just previously the time of day. What are we
So
at this point?
It's early evening.
Early evening. Because do we as a team want to rest up before, or well, do whatever we want in the evening, but rest up is the goal, or do we really want to poke the badger and carry him forward?
I think we should enjoy a hearty first moss. As Greg is eyeing the arm wrestling competition table and looking at Goru and looking at the arm wrestling table and looking at the gold in his hand and looking at the arm wrestling table and then looking at Goru. And then he just gives him a little bit of a nudge. Go! Go!
Did you want to do that?
No, not me, mate. Not me. You!
Oh.
Well, it depends who, as long as you're not, you know. I just think you'll be pretty good at that, wouldn't you? You feeling strong? You feeling like strong? You strong, pup? Feeling strong?
I could certainly give it a go.
Well, maybe we should find someone to do a bit of arm wrestling with, shouldn't we?
It might be fun. As he cocks his head to the side inquisitively, but his hulking arms, like obviously where he's been propping the table, cover the majority of the table. He's got these massive claws, and for a Galapi, he is a hulking boy. So, though he doesn't really see or understand this game, I think let's just face it, I want to give it a go as Dan.
And Greg wants to make some money, so.
Okay. Okay, so in which case, as you head, so is it just the two of you heading over, or are you being accompanied by Ruby and Twig?
What would Ruby like to do?
We'll let them set out. We'll set out. We'll let them go and have their fun.
Can do rock painting.
That was both a reaction from Ruby and Nate.
Well, I'll tell you what. If Greg and Goru are heading over to the arm wrestling table, as you approach, like a figure emerges from sort of like a nearby table, and like they approach you. They're wearing like lots of kind of flowing, hanging, like silk like material. It's a very kind of flowy, like a very flowy ensemble. And you like the thing that kind of takes your attention most is their kind of shaggy furred legs that end in hooves. I'm just making sure that is what in fact they look like in the Daggerheart. Yeah, close enough. Yeah, like furred legs, with from what you would consider backward knees, and like a very round face, and you recognise them as a fawn. And the fawn kind of looks to you with this very kind of jovial, innocent look, and are you here to try the arm wrestling? He says.
I was told it would be fun.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There is a small entry fee to play, and it is a double or nothing. Winner takes all.
Who's the opponent?
Uh, the fawn, the fawn sort of like chortles. Well, the opponent is randomly determined upon entry into the arm wrestling competition. It
How
is
many
a
applicants you got?
3-round match.
Oh.
Can Greg see anyone that's currently waiting to arm wrestle, or is it a complete secret?
You notice that there are a few people kind of sat around. Some look kind of more burly than others. There are some that you fancy Goru's chances against more than others. But yeah, no one's really like, because this is effectively just like 2 stalls. It's a small circular table with 2 stalls, so it seems like people are summoned here to have a go.
Yep. Double or nothing. Fab.
Ooh, I-
All right, we're in. This is my boy, Big G.
Okay. The fawn kind of nods and, let me just take your details down, he says, kind of pulling out a little notepad from a back pocket and writing down, what, Big G, you say?
Goru.
No. Big G. You got to intimidate him, mate. You got to intimidate him. You got to have a name, ain't you? You can't be just be like, oh, I'm Goru. You got to be like, oh, I'm Big G.
I don't understand.
Fine. It's fine. I'm your manager. It's fine. Big G.
Big G. Marvellous. Please, Big G, take a seat. I will bring across your first opponent.
And Goru will sort of lumber towards the chair and just as his clawed hand covers the majority of the top of the chair and sits down.
Okay. So as you take a seat, the first individual to sit down opposite you is a you know what? So a rather, I don't know if this is the right word to use, a rather svelte young man kind of takes a seat opposite you and hello, hi, my name's Jeff. Are you here for the arm wrestling?
What does it look like?
Very, very good. Okay. Yes. Well, I'm also here for the arm wrestling. So I hope you're ready. He says as he rolls his sleeve up to reveal one of the weediest little twig arms you've ever seen. And he puts his arm. You notice there's 2 kind of indentations on the table. His elbow fits in his indentation with room to spare. Your presumably elbow does not fit in your indentation.
It's so hulking that he put his whole hand probably just like clasps his little.
Okay. Let us. Well, if you roll a like a strength check, and I guess
Yeah,
I just
let
roll
me
a
just-
d20.
I'm just double checking if there's any. Just my stiff.
You're what now?
Oh, I'm just checking something. None of my things will work in this scenario. Yeah, that's fine. Right, I got a +2 to this roll, so I'm gonna roll the duality dice.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Boom! Not
Yes.
high,
Okay. Well,
7
you
and 6
did
are
get
pretty high.
hope.
but yeah. So that's was
Yeah.
that 13 +2 because of my strength.
Yeah.
So 15 total.
15
With
total
With hope.
versus Oh! You watch
boy.
as this weedy little arm like tenses up, and suddenly these like wiry muscles like bulge from the skin, and you realise, like, despite the fact that you're encompassing this whole man's poor little hand in your grip, he just and Goro, you just watch bewildered as you get tipped over.
Can we get the feeling that Goro's never actually arm wrestled before, so he doesn't actually know what's going on? So he's just like, "Oh, good game."
That was fun.
Yeah. Well, there's. Greg, you hear the sound of defeat as Goro's hand, boom, like hits the back of the hand, hits the table, and this wiry little human stands up and just crimps his shirt out and then strides off, and like the fawn congratulates him. I'm marking that one down as a loss.
Oh,
I want an independent adjudicator. I want an independent adjudicator. I think there's foul play. There is absolutely foul play. Have you seen it? Do you see the size of his arms?
The fawn asks, it is a best of 3. Would you like me to bring across your second opponent?
so
Bring him
let
in,
me
bring him
get this straight. Arm wrestles.
Yeah.
I
What
was
you got to do is, like, he's got your arm. I'll just show him. So I put my arm, Grogu's hand, put it in frog. I'm pushing, yeah, and you're pushing, yeah.
Oh,
And then
I've
it's
got
who
to push.
pushes the arm the hardest. Yeah. Is the winner. So don't just all go all limp lettuce. You've got to like.
Are you sat in the seat opposite Goro to show him this?
Yeah.
The fawn, like his eyebrows raising. Oh, you're volunteering as the second opponent. Well, please, when you get a chance, you may begin. So if the two of you can make opposed strength checks.
Oh boy.
Beautiful.
6, 7, 8, 9.
So we both. I rolled 1 below you, but I got a +2 in strength.
Mm.
I've got a -1, so mine's 8. Mine 8 with fear.
And I've got a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with fear.
You
Okay.
got 10 with
Hope.
hope.
Oh, did I? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I did.
10 with hope. Okay.
Silly me.
Um,
Never hope.
Okay, in which case, yeah, Greg, you're just like, yeah, oh. And like you feel yourself, you feel one bum cheek come off the chair as you get kind of tabled down. And the fawn, very good. That is a victory for Big G. If you could please vacate the participant seat, he says to you, Greg. We will summon the final participant, and I guess what. Yep, we will. I will answer that that question in a second, Woodrow. Yeah, the third participant is summoned, and Goro, you're like so now you know how to win. You hear a curious kind of clanking approaching the table. And as you look up, a humanoid figure sits down in front of you. But they appear, like, their body parts appear to be made of, like, a rich red wood. But their shoulders, their featureless face, parts of their chest are made of metal, like hammered metal. And this figure looks at you with kind of 2 large circular unblinking eyes and no kind of distinct mouth on the face. But you immediately recognise this figure as a Clank. like a sentient golem type person of sorts. And the figure sits in front of you and says, well, as the figure sits down, Greg, you look up in... Well, actually, you can tell me what emotion is going through you as this clank puts their elbow donk on the table, and you notice that in lieu of a thumb, there is a fifth finger. And this is, in fact, Halithon Five Finger.
It's
Hello! says Halithon.
Hello, Alethon.
Oh, it's soft-spoken, beg your pardon. Hello. What a surprise to see you there, Greg. How are you doing? And Goro, as you go to embrace the clank's hand, you feel slightly uncomfortable as the fifth finger just kind of wraps around your hand in a way that you weren't quite expecting.
Oh.
No, I don't like that. No.
How have you been keeping? He says. And Goro, you get a chance to kind of really look at this clank. It's almost impossible to kind of gauge the clank's age. But you notice that on the clank's right shoulder, there are a number of small kind of scuffs and scratches. And as the arm kind of goes down and like your fingers lock into one another, you hear a flapping, like a squeaking and a flapping from overhead. And a small fox bat flies down and perches on Five Finger's shoulder. Yeah. What brings you here? The clank says as he looks at you, Greg. And like you feel the Titan strengthen around your hand, Goro. And as the wrestle starts, you notice that the clank is just kind of looking off at Greg, just as your arms are going backwards and forwards.
I think... Yeah, carry on.
Is there... So, one of my... I'm going to argue something here. One of my experiences is that I've put myself down as silver-tongued, so I'm very good at speaking to people. Is there a way that I can very eloquently trash talk as a distraction to give Grogu some kind of advantage on his strength roll? I'm good at speaking to people.
I reckon so, but you have to give me the gist of what you're saying to influence.
To him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because presumably you're not just like licking his ear hole with this silver tongue.
No.
I mean, because that puts anyone off of their game.
That's later.
Greg, we love him. We love him.
Yeah, well, I've been, doing a bit of this, but doing a bit of that, working hard, making money, been better off since I've been going and running in other crowds, away from you. You're always a bit of a, greasy character. Never really, everyone thought, oh, not this guy with his silly bat friend and his creaky arms. Who wants a thief that's got creaky arms? No one.
Okay. As Five Fingers is gonna kind of talk. Well, you're talking to him. He's talking to you. That sounds like a help. So let's go advantage for Goro.
Hey. Alright, I'll make my roll with +2.
So plus D6. Oh.
Bear with me. D6. Oh, yep, just a roll. Oh, wow. So that's 10 plus 3 plus 6. No, let's plus the 2 first. That'll be 15. So a 21 with hope.
Okay. I rolled a 5.
Like the amount of fingers you got.
yeah. It's at the mention of the creaky arm that Greg, what? And like the arm creaks, and Goro, you like you go to finish this wrestling because you've just been going backwards and forwards, and like you bam slam the hands to the back of this Clank's hands to the table, and as you like lift your arms up to celebrate in victory, you notice that the Clank is looking at his arm, and it is just bent sideways at the elbow. Like,
I'm sorry. Do you want me to fix
Greg
it?
is like, just thinks it's the most hilarious thing he's ever seen in his life.
So Five Fingers looks at his now kind of bent arm, and no, don't worry, I can get it fixed elsewhere, he says. Excuse me, please excuse me, he says, and as he
You walk away.
as he gets up and sort of like you see him hurrying to the front door, and like someone shouts out, "Bye, Jonathan!" and like he goes to wave, but instead of like his arms just going horizontally because it's bent at the wrong angles, and yeah, the Five Fingers is out, and
I feel quite bad about that.
No, he deserved it.
the fawn just. Well, that's certainly a technique I've never seen before, but as promised, you won 2 of your games. So here is the gold from Five Fingers, and my good ribbit, sir, if you could forsake one of your gold to Goru.
What?
Well, as a participant, there is an entry fee of 1 gold coin, and as you participated and lost to Big G here, it is his winnings.
What? Just look at Goru. No, I paid his entry fee. What are you talking about, love?
Yes, and then you entered into the competition by taking a seat in the competitor's seat, therefore entering into the competition, which requires an entry fee. So yes, one gold to the victor.
I look at my pocket.
Are you still just like me?
I put something in Goru's hand. There you go. That's your 1 gold, Goru. It's actually a pebble.
Is it a pebble painted to look like a gold coin?
Did you actually paint it just earlier, just in case?
Just in case.
He probably doesn't. He probably notices it's a pebble, but he just looks at it. He's like, "This is worth more than gold." Thank you, Greg.
Well, if you want to give me the rest of your gold, you could give me, I'll give you a load of pebbles.
He gives a gold coin back in exchange for his aid. Yeah, he doesn't really quite understand all this, but he's like, I do feel quite bad for the Clank, but that was good fun.
Good. We'll do this more often. I take his gold and I just test it in my mouth. Bend it.
I do the same with the pebble.
Only one of them bends how you hope it will. Okay, so Twig and Ruby, is there anything you're doing this evening? Like, are you ordering food, or are you kind of just whiling away the time, or like speaking to any of the other patrons?
We order some food.
Food sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah, we order some food. That would be nice.
Well, in the interest of time, if you're ordering food, by the time that arrives, you'll know that night will have kind of fully fallen, and like you'll kind of need to sleep the night before you carry on. Just real quick round the houses. Because there's pretty much everything on offer. What are your 4 meals, respectively? Starting with Twig.
Meals? Gosh. I don't know. Like, it's in like favourite meals or just meals that I was ordering off the top of my head?
Yeah, well, both. Like, what is the meal that you've ordered for tonight?
Okay. I think I got a feeling that Twig likes. I think he likes good cuisine. I think he's grown up with wizards who are fancy, so he likes good food. I feel like something that resembles lasagna would be quite fun. Like a kind of D&D style lasagna, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how that would work, but hey ho. And maybe like a sticky toffee pudding dessert. I feel like that's I feel like a D&D tavern would serve something like sticky toffee pudding or like bread and butter pudding or something like that.
100%.
For the meals. But yeah, he also likes a good stew. I think most D&D people like a good stew. Throw a load of fruit, throw a load of veg and a load of meat into a stew. Add some spices, see what happens. But yeah, I think for tonight, if there's anything fancy on the menu, like something like lasagna or something like that, he would go for something like that. He'd offer to pay for Ruby's meal as well.
Oh, there you go.
What about mine?
You're not there. You're earning money somewhere else. You lost out.
What about Ruby? What's Ruby ordering?
Oh, what did mushrooms eat?
Other mushrooms.
Other mushrooms. Can you imagine? You just pulls out like just this massive mushroom and she just gorges herself on it. I like to think that she's eating just a very like quite hearty salad, but with sort of big sort of edible flowers in it. And yeah, I think something...
Looking at Ruby, she strikes me as a sort of character that when she eats salads, there's a quiet
like a cat. Like a cat going
okay, marvelous. And are you going for a flour-based dessert as well?
No, cheesecake.
Marvelous.
Fantasy cheesecake.
So, Greg, as you and Goro return from the arm wrestling table, what 2 courses are you going for?
Meat and bread,
Cooked.
partially.
And the bread
I'm
as well.
I'm very, very clear with the waitress that I do not even want any salad even looking at my plate.
Okay.
I just want just a comically large, like turkey leg, like Henry VIII.
Okay, marvelous. And for dessert, the same.
Knickerbocker Glory.
Okay, yeah, good shout. He wasn't expecting the Knickerbocker Glory. No, fair play. Okay, yeah, a comedically large turkey leg, presumably with Acme stamped up the side of it, and a Knickerbocker Glory. And Goru, what 2 courses are you going for before Betty buys?
So I definitely did not just Google alligator, snapping turtle, and what do they eat. But it does fit in with what I was thinking, which is like a platter of all the salady leaves and vegetables, just piled with like cooked fish.
Yeah.
That big whole fish that you can just snap into, and munch. So basically, all the leaves that were meant for Greg's meal have come over to Goru's meal.
Sure.
Because he wants all the lots of greens and colourful fruit and veg. And for pudding, I imagine if a good old rhubarb crumble was on the menu, I think he would go for a good old rhubarb crumble, and imagine eating rhubarb crumble without your hands, like just with your mouth. Like
Is there
all the
any other way?
breadcrumbs is all around his like snapping jaws.
Okay. Okay, very, very good. Marvelous. So, with all of that said, then, your meals come through. They are delightful. There is, over the space of the night, there are songs. There are dances. Everyone seems to be getting into the mood for First Moss. And before long, the long day that you've just had begins to weigh down on you. And as you kind of expected, you're each kind of sent. You're effectively sent to 4 different houses around the village, as the villagers of Hush fundamentally put you up for the night. And surprising, Ruby, you get sent to a house with a bed that is just your size, much the same as Goru. It's this large, I mean, for you it's a standard size, but for everyone else it's like a large reinforced bed, and everything's just seemingly just perfectly right. And you all manage to get a good night's sleep. Let's say that you all gain the benefits of a long rest. I am relying on PC Dan to inform us what the benefits of a long rest are.
Yep, so long rest, and I'll just get the rules up just quick because I want to make sure I get this right. So you can choose of 2 options. You can either tend to your wounds, which you describe how you patch up yourself and remove all marked hit points. Okay. You could also do that on an ally instead if you feel so inclined. You can clear stress. So you describe how you blow off steam and pull yourself together to clear all your stress. You can choose to repair your armor. So you regain all your armor slots and you just describe how you repair your armor in the process. And you can again do the same for another ally's armor instead. You can prepare, which is to describe how you are preparing for the next day ahead, and doing this will gain you a hope. If you do this, if you choose to do this with 1 or more party members as part of your thing, then you each get 2 hope doing so. So if you want to do something a bit more collaborative, you're rewarded for that. And you can also work on a project. So depending on if there's something you wanted to work on over a series of long rests, you and the GM can work something together, how long a project might take, and you can start ticking down the time it takes to complete that task.
Yeah, that sounds similar to the Blades long-term project, doesn't it? Okay. Well, in which case, real quick round the houses. Twig, what activities are you doing on your long rest?
I was going to do Mending Touch on Ruby. Is that something I can still do before we get sent to our separate houses?
Absolutely.
So Mending Touch. So you lay your hands upon a creature and channel healing magic. Help close their wounds. When you take a few minutes to focus on the person you're helping, spend 2 hope. So I can spend 2 of my hope and heal a hit point or a stress. So I can heal a hit point for Ruby. Once per long rest, when you spend this healing time learning something new about them or revealing something about yourself, the 2 hope you spend heals 2 hit points instead, or 2 stress. So I wanted to go with that option, if that's okay. How many hit points do you need? Is it?
I only need 2, so to
cool. So yeah, I'll
back.
Yay! Cool. So might as well, because then I can only use it once per long rest, so it just means we reset after the long rest, which is great. I can do it again tomorrow if we need to.
So you're using 2
so-
hope, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. That takes you down to 2.
Yeah, so spend 2 hope, and in doing so, whilst healing in regards to the kind of the RP about it, I feel like Twig very anxiously is just like, it is very, very nice to see you. This has been a long time. Sorry I didn't get to really say earlier. Don't know how you feel about everybody knowing things.
Oh, if we can just keep it between us for now,
Of
think-
course.
I think that's probably for the best. They don't need to know. I think Greg might be weird about it, and I don't think Gora will understand.
That's fair. Yes. Not to worry, and I won't slip up and call you darling again. That was really out of order, and I really shouldn't have done that.
It was nice to hear, but it's fine. It's fine. We can talk about it another time.
Yeah, of course. Please do rest up, and I hope you're feeling better now.
Thank you.
Well, okay. So healing, doing the healings. Is that one of the actions or not? Like, is
No,
that
you-
just...
No, I can just do that whenever I
Do
wanted,
it,
but because
okay.
we're having a long, because it was within my long rest, I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that Ruby was all healed up, just in case things go down tomorrow.
Yeah, fair. So yeah, what are your two activities?
I guess I could prepare for tomorrow because otherwise, yeah, preparing for tomorrow, I guess, would be finding the Whitefire Aconist. So maybe he spends a little time trying to figure out which direction that would be and how long that would take, and if they should do. Like, I feel like Twig is the kind of person anyway to be like, right, itinerary, breakfast, then the Arcanist. We find the crate, we go to the Arcanist, that should take this amount of time. Maybe we'll be able to come back for more celebrations. Hopefully everything's gone well. And yes, so I feel like he's very much like one of those people who is like writing down an itinerary in a notebook. So it would make sense that he'd prepare in that way.
Okay, so that's going to gain you 1 hope, was that?
Cool, yeah, so I'm back on to 3 hope.
Back up to 3, okay. And the second?
I can't remember what the other options were,
So
because
let
I
me just
didn't take any any damage
You
or
can
anything.
Clear stress, repair armor. Use your armor at all?
Yeah,
I didn't get chance at all. So
Or you can work on a project. Not that we've discussed.
Yeah,
anything.
bear in mind you can also help someone else out if someone else has got.
true. I could always
Um,
check in on Goro because Goro took damage as well. Unless Greg took damage. Who took more damage? No, okay, Goro. Then I will also spend my other one then helping Goro with some healing. You
Oh,
can kind of suggest there's more healing magic going on, but
Thanks,
not in
buddy.
the same function. That's okay.
that
yeah.
seems. Yeah. Appreciate
Cool.
that.
So will that heal you enough?
Yeah, I've only taken 1 HP, but it clears all stress. So you've just saved me one of my choices
Cool.
to clear my HP for me.
Good old
Awesome.
foot rub.
Very appreciated.
This isn't Blades.
You've opened my eyes, Nate. Twig gives Goro a tantric foot rub. Okay, cool.
Gotta give it for those scaly boys.
That feels great.
Really good in there. Right, Ruby, what are your 2 activities?
So I am going to fix my armor. So that reduces it straight back to 0, doesn't it?
Yep.
Cool. So she is. I mean, she only just has basic. What kind of armor does she have again? It's here somewhere. She doesn't have anything amazing. She just has. Yeah, she just has breastplate armor. So she's probably just gonna sort of polish that out a bit and get that back up to shape. And because she has now been healed back up, she's probably gonna prepare for the next day. I think she's gonna have like a conversation with the people who she's staying with about First Moss, and probably find out a little bit about the history of it and what the moss actually does, like what's so special about it.
If you're preparing for the day ahead as well, and so is Twig, or anyone else who is preparing for the day, rather than just giving yourself a
Just say,
hope,
We should
you
probably
could
do-
work
somebody needs to prepare
together to give each of you 2 hope,
Mm.
because you work together to prepare for the day.
He's already
if I'm already
min-maxing it.
I mean, we're already technically hanging out to heal you, so it would make
Yeah.
sense that we could also do that at the same time before going to sleep.
Yeah, that's
And then
right.
you go off to shuffle off and do your armor on your own before bed.
Yeah.
That would work narratively. So yeah, okay, cool. And I can share what I understand about the first moss from what I've remembered and understood from what I saw on the way here. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
And that means I get another hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so whoever's joining in on this is one of their choices. You're each going to get 2 hope because you're joining together to create the narrative of preparing for the next day. I'm not going to be able to, because I've already got max hope, so there's no point me doing it.
Okay. I need to prepare with someone because I need to get some hope. So
Okay, do you want to
You
do
can
that
join
with the
us.
3 of us? I think
Yeah.
Ruby would be especially interested if there was any magical properties to this moss.
So just to quickly answer that one then. Like, yes, but in a relatively kind of low level, similar to the rest of the Sablewood, having this kind of mysteriousness about it.
Right.
That said, you do wonder whether the fact that this moss is only seems to be coating the crops inside the ward, maybe that's got something to do with it. That's a potential something that might be happening, kind of thing. But yeah, it is, but like low level.
Cool. That's me done.
Okie dokie. Goru. So then, what's Goru doing?
Yes. So instead of joining in the preparing for the head, because he's got plenty of hope, Goru will use one action to mend his armor. So he's going to be pressing out the little kinks in it and buffing it out in his own
Literally
way.
just.
He's strong. So yeah, I just imagine him go.
Yeah.
Various things like that, or sort of cleaning up his armor, things like that. Well, I say cleaning up, leaving all the natural bits on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll clear my armor. I regain my 1 armor slot I've spent, and the other thing I'm going to do for my other option is going to be to clear stress. So after he's been pushing and buffing out his armor and doing what he can there, he's going to go outside where it's quiet and just plonk himself down, sword in the ground, this plank of a sword that he's got, and then just place his hands on the ground and just sort of almost like when you're on the beach and you're squeezing sand in your hands. He's just feeling the earth. He's taking real deep breaths in and out, and he's kind of trying to, in his own way, like a meditate, but not quite there. It's more of like deep breathing exercises, but feeling the nature around him to give him a sense of inner peace, to clear that stress that he is sustained. So I'm clearing the stress point off of that, Also worth noting, because I am Seaborn,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for Twig helping me with my HP issue, I, as a Seaborn, as part of my background, can choose a third additional option once per session. So I would have spent it on the HP, but because Twig so kindly helped me with that, I can keep hold of that in case we need it for a short rest.
Fair play. Fair play. Okay. Sorry, just had a brain fart there. Greg. what's Greg doing?
Most memorable name.
Yeah,
Greg.
no, right.
It rhymes with Freg.
Yes. How is Greg wrapping out the night?
Well, he'll be preparing with Ruby and Twig for the next day. I say preparing. Ruby's asking lots of questions about Moss. Greg's just kind of nodding along, whilst kind of trying to figure out if it's worth anything. It could be harvested in some way, and just generally just kind of just preparing for the next day. He's just, as they're talking about this moss, he'll just be buffing various hands, getting his little hook nice and clean, getting his little blade nice and clean.
Yeah.
Getting ready. You never know. You never know what hand you're gonna need for the next day. And the other thing I wanted to do was work on a project, but we don't have a project. But I have a project in mind.
Okay.
But it might be something I need to discuss with you, Dan. But it doesn't matter because I can just hint at a project and then I can discuss with you afterwards.
Sure.
Okay.
Do the hints and then.
So once everyone has gone to bed and he gets into his little room and he closes the door, make sure there's no one around. He folds into the bottom of his bag and he just lays out like in a little velvet wrap, just kind of comes out. All these little tools are there, and he gets a mysterious hand-shaped object out of his bag, and he's just tinkering on a new gadget to put onto himself. But he's just sitting there preparing, but nobody knows what it is. He's just making it.
I've never felt so much GM fear in a long time.
Tinkering.
Just
By candlelight.
Just playing with my hands.
just making something new. Getting his little screwdriver hand in. Just tightening up the bolts.
Okay, very good.
And I'll ask you what it can be.
Sure. Okay. So you while away the hours tinkering with your hands.
Yeah.
And before the four of you know it, you're at your respective kind of lodges, abodes, and you drift off into quite a peaceful sleep. All which are punctuated by dreams of bouncing on large marshmallowy clouds.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. And there's like a soft choir, a soft choral kind of not chanting. That's quite honest. Just a soft chorus in the background, and what sounds like a lady sort of like giggling to herself every so often. And before you know it, you all wake up to, like, as you kind of stir from your slumbers and you peer out your respective windows, you can see that whatever like there's it almost seems like a natural light streaming through the windows, and as you kind of get yourselves ready, kind of gather your belongings, you say thank you to your respective lodgers or lodgees, You kind of step back out into Hush proper. As you look up, you notice that kind of bioluminescent, kind of firefly like glowing overhead has now kind of shifted from the sort of like the warm reddy purples and sort of like later cool dark blues to a much more kind of natural, much more bright kind of yellows and whites to simulate kind of daylight there, because you can't see through the canopy overhead. And rendezvousing with one another, and knowing that like you've got your carts, you've got the crates that you're delivering. Twig, you know that you've got to, I mean, while the day is young, making your way past the homes of the village, and then on through the farm, like the farmlands beyond, you see a variety of crops that have begun to cultivate this thin layer of kind of glowing blue moss on the top of all of the fruits and vegetables. And as you pass them, you notice that they kind of like pulse softly, like a heartbeat, as you move past them. Among the growing groves, you notice that the trees of Hush have hundreds of like unique faces carved into all sides of them. Their eyes kind of peering in all different directions, with a medley of emotions, but most of a kind of optimistic or sort of like jovial nature. And like the faces become more numerous, kind of more compacted on the trees, until you find one tree in particular that is clearly taller than the rest of them. And it's clear that this is where the Whitefire Arcanist lives. The tree bears the home, like the Arcanist's home, like an overripe fruit. It hangs from a braid of rope as wide as Goru's arm. And it's tied to a massive branch and counterweighted by a kind of cabin-sized boulder lying at the base of the tree. The stone itself that's holding it down is marked with a collection of symbols, and you notice the windows of the cabin suspended from this branch flash every so often with soft yellow-green light. And as you peer up at this curious kind of hanging house that the Arcanist, which you presume is the Arcanist's abode, I reckon we grab a quick break. Cool.
Sounds good to me. Amazing.
So, it is 9:27. We will be back at 9:40. So we've got about 12.5 minutes. So we will see you then. If the stream ends, it's because it broke when I was trying to fix it. But we'll be back at 9:40. All right. See you in a bit.
Bing.
to Explorers of Elsewhere's live Daggerheart Open Beta playtest. Hi, I am DM Dan, and we are joined by Fio, Nate, Livvy, and PC Dan. Hello!
Hello.
Hello! We have all been supplied with tea, which is very good. And also, I managed to fix Foundry without OBS exploding like it did earlier. So, we're all good. We now have actually live updating Hope and Fear scores. So, just a real quick catch up, because, Woodrow was talking in the break. A proper kind of answer to your question earlier. Yeah, we are using Foundry VTT for this. And sort of like Discord for our audio and Video Ninja for our audio. So there's a bit of a smorgasbord of stuff going on. I think for the sort of like the theatre of mind stuff that we're doing, like this kind of works fine. Effectively, everyone's just looking at a splash page, but then we know that we need the maps, so Foundry is really, really good for that. Very specifically, Birdie Maps does some fantastic maps and has done for our stuff in the past. So if you check Birdie Maps out, has a Patreon, really, really, really good stuff. That's what we're kind of using it for. Everything in Foundry is a bit Frankenstein, because obviously the beta test is betaing. So we're just we've smashed something serviceable together, so we can see we've got Hope and Fear differentials in the dice roller. And then we're just using damage and that as normal. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm sure in time people will start writing stuff for Daggerheart, but I suspect they'll want to wait until things kind of calm down and solidify a bit more. I think that would make sense for a lot of people, wouldn't it? Cool. Right, so just to very, very quickly re-paraphrase, you're standing at the base of a tree, a very, very, very large tree, at the base of which is a large boulder, which is acting as a counterweight to what appears to be a house that looks like almost kind of like birdcage in style, but is a hut, just gently swaying in the sort of like the gentle breeze that wafts past you. Every so often the lights illuminate with a soft kind of yellowish green glow before kind of dissipating. You're pretty confident that this is the Arcanist's house. What do you do?
How high up is it? How high up is the house?
I mean, quite a way. We're talking maybe like 50 feet up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to be disturbed then.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very very peculiar choice of abode to have it hanging from a tree.
I don't think we can knock on the door.
I don't know how easily you'll be able to see this, but just in case my descriptions haven't quite cut the mustard, is literally like a hut hanging from a tree.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so a big thick rope, looped over a thick branch, which is allowing this kind of hut to dangle about, let's say, 50 feet up.
Time to twig.
Yeah.
He's a. Did you say it was White Fire
What?
Arcanist?
Yes. Whitefire Arcanist, yes.
So he deals with fire, and he's living in a tree,
Yeah,
hanging by a rope.
I know. I'm a little
Sounds a
concerned
bit like a
about that.
risky man, risky woman.
Yes.
I like her style.
I do not. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna see DM if I can ascertain if there is some sort of magic that might trigger like a doorbell, or if there's something around that might alert the Whitefire Arcanist that we're there.
Sure.
Like if there's some sort of like welcome system.
Roll me Something. Roll me. Flicking.
A knowledge?
Knowledge? Yeah.
Knowledge? I can
Recall,
roll
analyze,
knowledge.
comprehend. Roll me a knowledge check.
Knowledge check. Well, that's great. 12 with fear. That's great.
12 with fear, you say? Hiya! One more fear for me. Okay. 12 with fear. No, that's absolutely fine. So you're looking for some sort of, in inverted commas, magical doorbell. Sure.
As such, basically, is there anything magical in the vicinity that looks like the wizard has put up or use as a way of alerting them that we exist?
Yeah, absolutely. So you notice that the symbols inscribed on the boulder to, like, your left, they're actually runes.
Okay.
Like magical runes, and you understand that by placing your hands in the middle of the symbols, it will activate the glyph that will trigger. It seems to be connected to some sort of trigger spell, and you suspect that there's going to be some sort of that is effectively a doorbell. You place your hand on the rock and allow the magic to do its work.
How confident am I at this isn't going to like wreck the boulder or do any other damage? Am I completely, utterly sure this is a doorbell? Like, is the glyph basically welcome, or are you fucking with me? This is the question I have.
You rolled high enough to know that is definitely a glyph, like an activation glyph.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything could be an exploding glyph, or like a in spontaneous combustion glyph, or a stubbed toe glyph. Like, you know, the wizards are tricksy folk. I mean, you know, it could be a doorbell. It could be like a fireball disguised as a doorbell. It could be white fire, after all. It could be. That's the fear kicking in.
Is Twig like looking at this? You looking at the rune, just trying to work out.
I'm seeing if I have anything to help me.
I can help you.
Can you
Greg
help
just
me?
puts his hand round Twig's wrist, starts pushing his hand. Pushing the rune.
Is that your hand pushing hand?
Are you attaching the hand that's a bit like this? Just
Yeah. It's got 5 fingers on it. I've learned. That was my project last night.
I mean,
extra grip.
Yeah. We just need to press it, right, Twig? Just need to press it.
I believe so. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's a doorbell. I don't see why a wizard would be stupid enough to put a glyph there.
Famous last words. I think it's a doorbell.
So you can just it's got runes on it. Can you
Yeah.
actually do you actually know if it's magical or not?
It's definitely magical.
It's definitely magical. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'll let go of Twig's hand. Put my own hand down.
Okay.
Oh, hang on.
Ding dong.
So,
Just 1 second, because I do have.
Ding dong. Already said it.
Twig, as you're like, 1 moment, please. You see Greg put his doorbell pressing hand against the rock.
It's a white glove.
Like 50 feet above you, there's silence. Apart from the squeak from Twig when you realise that Greg's put his hand on the rock. And then from 50 feet above you, you hear... Oh. And like the intermittent flashes of light in the hut stop. And then from the rock, you hear, "Who is it?"
Oh, a talking rock.
I've been sent here by King Emeris for you. My name is Professor Twig Holloway. With my companions, we have a crate for you, my lady.
You're the group that Emery sent? Whoa.
Yes.
Well, you're rather late, aren't you? I was expecting you yesterday. Well, come in, she says.
Love. How?
And she, oh, my apologies. And then you watch as you hear a from the rope, and you notice that the rope just seems to be kind of magically extending, like lengthening, and the hut just starts lowering slowly to the ground, until eventually it makes a very kind of delicate as it kind of makes contact, and as the house lowers, and the front door kind of bursts open rather dramatically, and stood in the doorway, and like the hut weirdly kind of looks a bit bigger. Like, not weirdly, but like it looks bigger up close, bigger than it should do. But as the door bursts open, stood in the doorway is this 7-foot tall mix of like humanoid and, I mean, to look at her, so I'm gonna show you lot this in Foundry, and I'm gonna turn this on in
Mummy.
everyone in the top right, a 7-foot mix of humanoid and bumblebee.
Sure.
A fairy that seemingly moves in a combination of very slow and suddenly jerky motions. Whilst her expression is somewhat difficult to read, her emotions are very clear in her voice. Ruby, you kind of get the impression that she's quite an old fairy. But she seems unnaturally spry, and there's a definite kind of mischievous glint in her kind of slight inner bug-like eyes. And yeah, come in, she says as she does a little kind of sudden pirouette on the spot, revealing that on her back there are like dainty little translucent wings. And then, like, with her tippy toes together, she kind of, the wings start flapping, and she kind of buzzes back into her house with a distinct buzz as she goes.
How big is the house? Will Grogu? I don't want to. Will Grogu get in? Well, she's 6 foot. She's quite big.
Goro,
I mean, that's massive. Goro.
She's 7 foot tall. Yeah, she's kind of the same.
Yeah,
Like, she's a pretty sizey mama. Okay, we'll turn her off there. There we go. Back to the. Well, yeah, it's certainly, like Goru, it's certainly big enough for you, because she's probably, if she's 7 foot tall, she's probably of a similar height. But yeah, you notice that the treehouse itself is surprisingly spacious. But inside, like, the main room is a kind of a crowd of potion bottles, spell books, runes, plants, small creatures skittering around, like of all different varieties. But Twig, as you kind of look around, well, Twig and Ruby actually, as you look around, like, you wouldn't classify this kind of area, this space, as being messy. It's, you kind of get the impression that if anyone moved even like a single item, even like an inch, she would know. It's like a very organized chaos. Yeah, she turns to you and take a seat, she says, and like with a waft of her hand, 4 kind of chairs just slide from the sides of the rooms to sort of like just behind you, in so much that you're kind of like they bump into the back of your knees, which made you fall into them, and you find yourself sat in a row, in a very neat row, as she sort of like, again, like does a little twirl and then kind of drifts down onto a lounging sofa.
Are these chairs the same size as her or the same size as us?
They are, so again, impressively, like your chair is ruby sized and like it's dwarfed by the Goru chair. Like it's clear, like it's almost like Russian doll chairs, if you will. But yeah, they all seemed like perfectly suited to your dimensions. But yeah, she was like from her reclining seat. So how was your journey? I assume you've been held up if you're so late, so late, tardy, in fact.
Well, we do apologise.
Good.
We I mean, we got a little bit held up. We ran into some. Unfortunately, we ran into some bandits. But luckily enough, we were able to. Well, Professor Twig here was able to fight them off.
You showed them what for?
Something like that, yes.
He bloody incinerated them, that's what he did.
Oh, I do love a good incineration.
Yes.
And so we just needed time to sort of get our wits about us last night. But we came here as soon as we could, first thing this morning.
Marvelous. And you knew how to get here, okay? You had who gave you the directions to reach me?
A rather loud lady.
Stalwind?
Yes.
Oh, she's my favourite. I love Louser, I do, she says. Oh, Marvin, yes, did you try her ale?
Oh, I gave it a sniff.
It's good. It's good, isn't it? It's even better when you drink it.
It wasn't on tap when we got there, unfortunately.
Ah, well, there's still time. Anyway, well, I'm very glad you're here, even if you are here after you should have been. But I'm glad nonetheless. I do wonder if you've come all the way from Capital City. I do like a question that I do need to ask all of you, just as a general good to know kind of thing. Have you ever imagined how you might die?
Every day. You've got to be prepared.
And what do you imagine happens, dear?
After killing 20 men, I finally die from exhaustion.
Yes.
With my bare hand.
Wrap round my own throat.
Look at her dead in the eye.
She looks positively gleeful and then turns to you, Twig. And you?
I'll be honest. It's not something I've really felt I've considered.
Why?
Well, I've been very focused on living and staying alive and working on my books. So I don't. It's not really something I've had to consider, but push come to shove, I suppose dying of old age would be quite nice. But I don't know if that's
your own
likely.
magic.
Let's not consider that as an option. I'd like to be in
Self-combustion.
control of my own magic. Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Auto combustion is a very good way to go.
Twig looks positively panicked at this whole part of this conversation. Does not deal with the idea of death very well.
Yeah, she sort of like she looks to you, and there's this kind of like gentle motherly look, and you, she says, looking at you, Goru. You look like someone who's going to die sooner rather than later.
You've been close to death once.
Livvy, you almost made me. Sorry, Goru. Yes, continue.
I've been close to death once.
How? And did you imagine it would end that way?
No. My homeland was attacked by a humongous beast, and I was swooped up in its claws.
A humongous, you say? I've never heard of a humongous before.
A giant bird creature the size of a town.
I think you're talking about a rock deer, not a humongous.
What? Like a rock as in like a stone rock? No, like a giant bird the size of a town.
Yes, a rock. It's called a rock deer.
Oh, so that's what it's called. Well, that nearly killed me.
How drab, she says. And you, darling, she says, Ruby, at you, Ruby.
Oh, well, I hope I go the same way as all Fungril hope they go, as, you know.
Screaming into the void.
You know, sort of, in the big ancestral decay, where we all get together and give up our life force to the earth and slowly mold into the ground to give life to those who come after us.
Upsettingly close to what humans do, but yes, it is quite poetic, I must admit. Very good, very good. Anyway, enough of this light-hearted chatter. So, who of you is leading this little troop?
Look at Twig.
We'll point at Twig.
It was myself who was asked by the king to come to you, my lady. So I suppose it is me.
Marvelous, marvelous. Well, tell me, you've brought the delivery from the king, yes?
Yes.
And have you? Is it outside? Did you leave it outside? I mean, you would have, because it's in a massive crate on the back of your cabin.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
your wagon.
yes.
So,
yes.
And then she looks kind of like slightly aghast. She pearl clutches slightly. What? How am I supposed to inspect it if it's outside? Please, go and fetch it. Go and fetch it.
Yes. Okay.
And as so, Twig and Goru, are you two getting up to?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Twig,
So
Twig's like vehemently like ah.
So Twig, as you sort of like run to the front door that you came in through, and Goru, like you're pondering off like behind him. Twig, you go to grab the handle, like the doorknob of the front door, and then the wall in front of you starts like peeling away from you. And you watch in horror as the walls of this hut begin like opening up like a blossoming flower, until the hut lays flat across the ground, just taking up sort of like twice as much space, just as the walls become new floors. And like the rest of you look around, because suddenly it just got a lot more breezy in here. And yeah, you just hear, hurry up, she says, and you see your cart just kind of sat outside this now furled open hut.
Okay. I rush over. I'm sure Goro is right behind me.
Okay. So as you, it's a weird feeling to just kind of like roll this cart into a house over its walls that are now floors. But as you do, the walls of the house start like peeling back. And sort of like the hut closes up, but weirdly, like Goro, I think you noticed that, or like it seems a bit more. It seems bigger when you look left and right, but when you look up, the hut seems smaller. It seems like it's kind of taken up more space, but it's more like a baby bell rather than a hut.
Oh yeah.
But yes, with another kind of swaft of the hand, the Arcanist magically peels the lid off this crate. No, sorry, with a swaft of the hand, the crate just peels open, much like the hut just did. And inside lies a massive stone with a lion's face carved onto it. And Twig, you recognise this as one of the arcane keystones of the capital city's gate's like main archway.
A keystone, did you say?
Yeah. The Arcanist, like, she nods sagely as soon as she sees it. Of course the king would keep this delivery a secret. If anyone knew that your city was no longer warded, you would have been conquered by sunrise. Well, and as you, like, Twig, as it dawns on you that, yeah, the capital city is currently unprotected because this stone is part of the arcane kind of ley line network that, much like the keystones that protect Hush, this is one of the stones from the arch that protects capital city. So it's currently unguarded. And the enormity of the importance of this mission suddenly begins to weigh on you.
I'm sorry, my lady. Why were we told to give this to you? Shouldn't this be safely back at the capital? I'm not understanding.
Well, it would seem that this stone is not firing. It isn't working as well as it could. We need to travel to the open veil and reinstate the magic within this ward. Such an effort of magic will attract dangerous creatures, to be sure, from the darkest reaches of the Sablewoods, so I'm definitely going to need your help.
Right, okay.
And the way she says it isn't so much as of a request, more of a instruction.
Okay. Okay.
I presume that is why the king has sent his most proficient wizard, she says, looking dead at you.
Yes.
How tall are you?
Twig. I am very small. I am
Are you
about
less
4
than...
foot.
Okay. I mean, yeah, she almost double your height.
Oh yeah, she
And she's got her fists on
the
her
way I
hips.
look up at her is a view for sure. I'm like I have a great view. It's like yes, I will do everything in my power, of course, to help, and then we can take it back. Yes. Like he is realizing that either he has been set up to fail, or someone has been telling the king things about him that are not true. He is concerned.
I have concern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very good. Well, she she doesn't really, luckily she's kind of busying herself that she doesn't see this look of abject, like effectively
horror.
Abject horror on your face. And And once again, like the hut begins to unfurl, like a blossoming flower. And yeah, she instructs you, like with a waft of her hand, the 6 sides of the crate and like clonk back together, and you see the sort of like the nails that popped out, just sort of like magically drive themselves back in to seal it shut. And yeah, she she informs you that she will be riding in the carriage with you. And she takes up, like, as she kind of squeezes herself into the back of your wagon, she looks like she squeezes herself in and, "Onwards, driver," she says.
I
Is
feel
there any
like
room for us in there?
I feel like Ruby and Twig, because our usual seats were both of us in the back of the carriage. Like, she's taken up the middle. She is essentially cock blocking them. She is like right in the middle of them, taking up almost all the space. And there's these very small little creatures just like pressed up against it. And I imagine then Goro and Greg are trying their best to sit at the front again, as per last time. But
There's a very kind of alluring aroma that wafts out from her kind of fuzzy bee bits, which that like you're squished up to her tight enough that it's just kind of like you just can't help but get the aroma. You walk in, Goro?
I mean, if there's no space on the front, then yes.
Sure. Greg driving?
I'm driving. She says, "Onward, driver." Greg just goes, "Where?"
She, with another kind of wave of the hand, a spectral, gloved hand materializes in front of you, like just this disembodied hand waggles at you a little bit, and then
It's the ghost. It's the ghost of my hand.
and then basically points in front of you, and as you follow this hand, you note it kind of turns every so often to point you in the direction you need to go. What, Goro, what would you say is what is the one thing during this relatively short journey that really caught your curiosity, like piqued your interest?
Just in terms of scenery?
Just in general, like scenery, the Arcanist herself, like anything that she spoke about or asked you, or anything like anything of note.
I imagine it's like almost as we're traveling, there's almost like a natural attraction of the little creatures of nature coming, like surveying the car as we're going by, because they're drawn by her presence as we're traveling through the forest, and of course seeing like these little different creatures like flying past, like, where are all these coming from? just this weird hubbub of life that's seeming to be drawn in by the presence of this creature.
Sure. Like as you do you say that out loud? Like or under your breath, where are they coming from?
I think Goro will say it loud enough that people would have heard. He's not good at keeping things quiet.
Sure. And you hear a voice from inside the carriage say, "They're scavengers, darling," she says. But yeah, as you look down at this kind of small group of like let's say squirrel badgers, and like they just seem to be watching you very intently as you go past. Greg, what's the one thing of note that you remember from the journey that you marvel at?
Are we traveling through forest land?
Yes.
Or are we going
yes.
towards?
Still
yeah.
in the same woods, yeah.
Still in the same woods. For the whole journey, Greg has just been contemplating for the entire time how bizarrely perfect everything is.
Yeah.
It's making him incredibly uncomfortable. Because he feels like he's in a storybook. And it's just becoming more and more suspicious.
You and me both.
Yeah, it's very it's getting a bit too uncanny valley. It just feels, and he just keeps looking like he's just like, just looks over and there's just like, like a perfect dewdrop falling from a leaf and just like, little songbirds twittering perfect songs.
Perfect.
And he's just like, I don't like this at all. Don't like this at all.
Just put my out of character hat on. But yeah, this adventure makes Wild Beyond the Witchlight look like The Wire. Like,
Yeah.
like,
I just feel like it's like we're in the Matrix and something horrible is going to happen.
Sure.
Like unnerving.
What's more scary? Like the unnervingness of it all, or the realization that this probably is how it's supposed to be?
What, life?
Would you like this idyllicness of your surroundings?
Mm-hmm.
There is the possibility that is 100% like working as intended. What's more unnerving, the fact that it is, or the fact that it's supposed to be?
The fact that it is.
Okay.
I think that's more scary, isn't it? Because that makes the rest of the world, like,
Yeah.
like that's how it's meant to be. What the hell happened to the rest of the world?
Yeah. Fair enough. Twig.
I think I mean, obviously we've already discussed like the perfect stuff, but I think the Arcanist has thrown him off. Like, I think he was expecting someone very different, and that their mission to be very different. And I feel like.
What do you mean you weren't expecting the 7-foot-tall bumblebee mama?
Yeah,
exactly. Which
with Disney mummy hips.
Definitely got Disney mummy hips.
Mummy, sting me.
Just Twig just squeaks that out involuntarily.
Absolutely, he does it. God. This man can't say boot or goose. Okay. I feel like he is just becoming increasingly nervous because of the state of this. Like this mission, he doesn't know why he was chosen. Why, he's gathered all these people because he was like, oh, it's a very simple mission. He's doing something good. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to be revealed that they are effectively the only thing preventing the capital city from being fully attacked and possibly destroyed is really doing his head in. Because you'd think you'd have your finest wizards, you would choose your most important heroes to do that job, and instead they looked at the little goblin wizard man and said, "He'll do." That makes no sense to him. He has no self-worth, so he is very concerned. He just thought he was doing something to gain a point on the scorecard, so he wasn't going to get in any trouble at home. This is a very different situation than he was expecting.
I would like you to roll an instinct or knowledge
my knowledge is higher.
Okay.
So if I'm allowed to roll my knowledge, that'd be great.
So this is fundamentally going to be whether or not the little voice in your head pipes up or not.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm rolling a +1. I don't know. Hang on. I was double checking I haven't got anything.
Because yeah, like you're absolutely right to be in the mindset of just like, why on earth, why me, with such an important task.
It's something I'm just curious as part of my Lawborn community role, because I'm well read. You have advantage on any roles you make that deal with the history, culture, or politics of a prominent person or place. I guess depends on what you're thinking. So I'll let you.
No, I'd say that counts in this moment.
Cool. So I'll use that. So I can roll with advantage on this one as well. That's fun. That makes me feel a little better.
So
I think.
plus D6 to this.
So okay, that's nice. And then I can add a D6. That's pretty good. Okay. So that's 14. So that's 20 with hope.
21.
So whatever this voice, I hope it's
sure. So, as you kind of like ask yourself these questions, like you can hear a number of like inside voices bubbling to the surface, but thankfully it's not the self-deprecating negative voice that you hear loudest. It's the hopeful, optimistic voice that says, all of the wizards of yore that you know of all had a big like crowd, like there was a point in their careers that started it all, like that was the first step of their not infamy, their fame. And perhaps this is that. Perhaps this is your first step to becoming like a world-renowned wizard of Capital City.
Sure. Okay. If you will listen to it, maybe he'll think about it.
Sure. As opposed to all of the negative voices that would have come up if you'd rolled with fear.
Yes, I love that. I love that. That's a really cool dynamic, actually. I'm more than happy to do that more often. That's really fun. Sure.
So, and you know what? We will bump you up to 5. Boop. There you are. So, Ruby, what was your kind of point of note?
I think Ruby's actually squeezed herself out from. She's not a huge fan of being confined into one small space.
Sure.
I think what she's going to do is she's going to sort of maneuver herself up to the driving seat with Greg.
Yep.
And from there, she's actually finding the niceness of everything quite pleasant. I feel like through wandering, she's actually been to some quite harsh places. So taking in sort of like the perfect dewdrops, the floating butterflies, I think she's taking that all in and thoroughly enjoying it. Using her elemental origin, which is air, she can channel a harmless effect with it. And I think she's just, to sort of while away the time, I think she's just going to be, so you know those like tree seeds that fall down like helicopters?
Yeah.
I think she's just going to be sitting at the front and she's going to be just playing like keepy uppy with like a bunch of them sort of like around the carriage.
That is
super cute.
That is very, very cute. Amazing. Well, doing that, like, you know, catches your attention for quite some time. When, like, you and, well, Ruby, Greg, and Goru all kind of notice this as you're kind of able to see outside. But following the direction of this kind of pointing finger, like this pointing hand, Greg, the carriage pulls into this mysterious clearing in the forest, in what looks like an almost perfect circle. And looking up, it's the only area of the sablewood you've seen without any trees that block your line of sight to the sky above. Dominating the space in the centre is what appears to be the stump of an enormous tree. And the stump itself seemingly has like a number, like from where you're looking, it looks like 4 stone kind of like ramps up to it. The stump lies about 10 foot-ish off the ground. But to kind of weigh, if you were to take a guess, the stump is anywhere from sort of like 170 to like 200 foot wide. It's huge. And as you approach, you hear, oh, I can feel a tingle on my antennas. Are we nearly there, driver?
By there, you mean there's a bloody great big tree stump? Yeah, we're there.
Marvellous, she says. You notice, sort of like, as you get closer, on the tree stump, there seem to be a number of, I don't know, well, so sometimes when you go to, like, national parks and you'll see those kind of areas that are, like, not tree branch, like vines type things that are kind of mesh over, like, a canopy. So there seem to be 4 of those, like, around, in like 4 kind of quarters on this stump. And, like, I say stump, like from the edges of the bark, you can see that smaller trees are kind of like shrub-like trees are sprouting up from the edges of this stump. But yeah, you can see that the walkways, like the ramps that lead up onto the stump itself, seemingly pass between these kind of like vine-like enclosures. She says, yes, this is it. We use the open veil here as a place for strong ritual magics. It's marvellous for that sort of thing. The ward stones that protect Hush, they were all created here, don't you know? Hopefully this will go better than when I created those, because, well, I nearly died making those ward stones, so there you are. And she's saying this as she's sort of like squeezing out of the back of the carriage. But I won't say any more on the matter. I don't want to anger the forgotten gods, They're a cranky lot, she says. And with a soft, she begins hovering over the cart and towards the centre of the stump. And like as she goes, there's another swift of the hand, and the crate attached to the back of the cart, like it once again unfurls, and the large rock begins hovering behind her as she buzzes her way to the centre of this stump. As you follow in, you notice that in the centre of the stump is what appears to be like a small, it's a small circle, a small body of water, over which is a small flight of steps up to what Twig and Ruby you assume to be some sort of like central focusing points of, presumably ley lines lead to this pool, and that is where above which the Arcanist begins hovering, the stone hovering above her. You could almost say it looks something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you find yourselves in the middle of this stump. I believe, if I do burp, if I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then I do none. Boop. There we are. And then I'll turn those back on. Site limited update. Cool. Well, okay, viewers can't see it, but you lot can. So yeah, you find yourselves in the center of this large stump over this body of water, and she is hovering in the center of it. Once again, a massive shout out to Birdie Maps. This is a Birdie Maps map. And if you want to get some stuff like this for yourself, you can grab it from Birdie Maps' Patreon. So, the Arcanist's antennas perk up in a disconcerting way. This is good. Stop. Yes, right here. Now, come help me. I'm very old, she says. And she doesn't specify how she wants you to help, but her body starts to glow. Like the yellow bands across her midriff begin to glow with a soft golden light. And the rock, like the keystone over her head, begins to slowly kind of rotate on all three axes, just round and round and round. And you notice that the eyes of the lion carving illuminate in the same kind of golden glow that's emanating from her abdomen. She... as it begins to glow, the Arcanist cries out, the keystone is responding! It's responding, everyone! Quick, surround me! The ritual must begin, or I'll lose the pathway to the ley lines! Hurry! She says. And her body begins to glow brighter and brighter as her eyes roll backwards into her head. And her and the keystone lift up another kind of 5-10 feet. And as that happens, an unearthly cry echoes from the woods, alerted by the sudden output of arcane energy. So, you yourselves place yourselves where you would like to begin as you hear these kind of these cries echo out. You may freely move yourselves around you. So they're coming from the woods to either say around you. It looks like it would be. It'll probably be knee deep for you, chest deep for everyone else. You feel free to plonk yourselves as you see fit. And let me know when you're ready. Oh, very tactical. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I think everyone is close enough to you. Right, so let's lift her up 20 feet in the air. Whoop. So, as you, Goro, as you kind of growl this word of advice, the forest around you goes suspiciously quiet. And the silence stretches on for an uncomfortable amount of time before you hear And from the vined areas, you see Twig, I think you'll notice it. A skeletal figure emerges from one of the vined areas. And it turns to look at you. Its eye sockets blazing with like a cold blue light as it looks towards you. You hear more, the rest of you hear more kind of jangling of rusted armor scraps as another appears. Another to the northeast. And yet another to the northwest. And as these 4 skeletons begin to move towards you, you hear that shrieking cry a second time. And I would like everyone to... Well, what's everyone's instinct score? +2, +1, 0. Goro? Okay. So, Ruby, you notice that at the edge of the stump, by towards the northwest, a ghostly type of figure wafts in. It's it's seemingly floating above the surface of the stump. And with all that said, yeah, you feel a rumble as these skeletons emerge, and in the distance you spot a forest wraith float ominously towards you. So for this, I'm going to have a countdown for how long it takes. How long it takes the Arcanist to cast the ritual, as she she is currently thoroughly tied up with what she's doing, and that she'll need all the time she can get. So, who is going first? Actually, it'll probably be Ruby, given that you've got the highest instinct and you notice things coming. So what do you do? Northwest, this one here. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've just found out. Yeah, we've lost player audio. Bear with me. 2 secs.
Ooh.
There we go. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I did not realise. Right, okay. Sorry, yes. So all that was missed was Ruby had the highest, so Ruby noticed the wraith and is going to do a...
So I'm going to do I'm going to do a far strike with my dual staff at the skeleton in the northwest.
Okay.
So that would be that +2. Let's go. Oh, it's nice. So that is a 16 plus 2. That's an 18 with hope.
18 with hope, so you go up to 5. 18 with hope, that is a hit.
Nice. So that is 1d8 plus 2 damage. So that's an 5 plus 2. That would be a 7.
7. Okay, so the gust of wind arcs towards the skeleton in the northwest, and like the blast kind of crashes into it and knocks it backwards a few steps. The wind shears off one of its arms, but it carries on, kind of clacking towards you. Who's up next? Unless you're are you moving, Ruby?
No, Ruby's going to stay in the same area, I think.
Cool. Yeah, who's up next?
I think looking at Twig on this one.
Looking at me. Okay.
I'm thinking because Goro stood there with a sword and he's like, "There's not much I can do from long range, but I can protect you all."
I can try something. I'm going to use my wand. I can just use my wand from far, which is... it doesn't say what kind of spell it does, but I'd assume it would give magical damage. So
Yeah, it will be referred to as magic damage, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, so like how I did with the dual stuff, I just described what it does.
Sure. So far, I think should hit something. So let me just double check. Am I going to be with far? Can I reach the
Yeah, so the skeletons are
7?
all far from you.
This one here. I just want to try and get to the.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, far
Cool.
is between 30 and 100 feet.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna try and hit our little chap in the corner there. So I will do that by rolling my hope and seeing what happens. Oh well, I rolled higher than at least. So that's 5, 6. It's 8 with hope.
8 is okay. So what was the attack again? Sorry.
It's a wand, so it's a spell from a wand.
Cool. So as you kind of point and aim, and like a blast of energy flies towards the skeleton, it strikes this kind of wooden protrusion in front of it, and like a bit of kind of bark explodes off, showering the skeleton, but the skeleton carries on moving anyway. So
It is now your go, DM.
Yeah.
Yep. So you've got 2 in the pool. So that particular skeleton will begins moving ever closer, and I will. Okay. As the wraith that's to the northwest moves, it begins like wafting in, and seeing you, Ruby, it will. Like holds a hand out, its mouth like distends, and the glowing blue light from its eye sockets kind of glows brighter. I need to roll a d20 plus 3. So this is against your evade. A 20 against your evade.
Yeah, that's gonna hit.
Okay, you take 5 magical damage.
Okay. Yes, that is just a minor, so that's just 1 hit point for me.
Okay. So that is 2 points from me. Who's going next? Greg or Goru?
I don't have anything far range, so I'm gonna have to get up and close and personal.
Do you know what? I'll try something. I will, seeing Greg unsure, I'll just reaffirm, say, "Stick together. It's safer." And the GM, I'm wondering if there is a way I can like release like some sort of like battle cry to try and taunt the creatures towards my direction.
That sounds very much like a presence roll.
I will happily do a presence roll for you, GM. And could I where is it? Because I'm trying to protect my allies, I would like to spend a hope with an experience of mine, which is I'll have your back.
Okay.
So could I spend a hope to add that experience on?
Yeah, that sounds.
To this
Yeah,
roll?
if you're drawing attention to yourself instead of your
Yeah.
allies.
So I'm gonna spend a hope. So now I've got 4 hope left to make this roll. And this will be with a presence +1, experience +2, so +3 to this roll.
Okay.
8, 1, 2, 3, 4 plus. Did I say 3? So 15 with hope.
Okay, so the hope
So I
that you
get hope
spent
back.
just goes back, so you're back up to 5 again. So,
come at me.
15. Okay, so the skeletons all appear to be fixated on you. They all turn their directions to you. Are you staying put?
Yeah.
Okay. Greg?
Can so you said the water was about waist height.
Mm-hmm.
Can I? How far up are we? Is it a platform or is it just?
Yeah. So you are kind of 5 foot higher than the skeletons and the wraith.
So I couldn't jump into the water, or I could jump into the water.
You could, yeah. A 5 foot
Yeah.
drop into the water.
If I jumped into the water,
Yes.
as I'm amphibious, so I can breathe underwater.
Yes.
If I went under, would could you class that as a hiding action?
I'm sure you could, yeah, because there's a lip. Like the water is in
So I
a
just want to like
depression. Okay.
under there.
So you're commandoing into the water.
I'm doing it. I'm going in.
Okay.
I spit my cigar out.
Is it not waterproof?
Ribbits do ribbit things.
And I jump in.
Bloop, bloop. Okay.
So
you
I'm
dive
going to
in
use
knowing that like the skeletons seem fixated on Goru, so you take the opportunity to duck in.
to duck in. So now, if I'm hidden, targets can't see me, even if they move into my line of sight. I'm only not hidden if I make an attack or I move.
Okay. Sure. No, that sounds fair. Marvelous. So that's your action. You're hiding, yeah.
That's my action. I'm just gonna.
Cool. Okay, so I will spend 2 to. The skeletons begin making their way directly for Goru. And one's almost at the base of the steps. And unbeknownst to you, I will spend 2 fear to take me down to 1. La-di-di-di, la-di-da. Another spectral figure materializes, this time to the southeast.
Oh no.
And it holds a hand out and towards you in the center. But that's a d20 plus 3. You see this kind of bolt of sickening green light arc out from the wraith over your heads towards the Arcanist, but the beam kind of spreads across a shield that she's conjured around her, and you realise that, and it shakes her for a moment, and she kind of shouts, "Protect me!" she says, as she comes under attack.
Okay,
Who's up next?
I have something. I think.
for it.
So I have a spell which is called Mysterious Mist.
Yeah.
Which is I can spend a hope to cast temporary thick fog that encircles a stationary area up to a very close range, your current location, and everyone is hidden to anybody outside the fog.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I can just put that round the Arcanist so they can't see her. So if they attack us, they'll attack us, but not the Arcanist.
Okay.
Can I argue that for this?
What's the, does it give a size of the...
It just says a temporary thick fog that encircles a stationary area. It doesn't give a size. It says it has to be in close range, so obviously I'm quite close to her at the moment.
She is 20 foot above you.
Fine.
If you were able to somehow get up to her.
Could Goru temporarily throw me and catch me?
I could. If you want me to do
Would
that,
you allow us to do that in a turn, Dan?
If Goru...
I also know the risk is obviously being thrown 20 foot in the air, cast a spell, and then not get crushed if I get dropped. But
yeah,
do you know?
It might be worth it.
Do you know what? Rather than me spending an action point to jump in on this, instead, what we'll say is I'll do my combo move for the session, spending 3 hope to make this work.
Okay. Briefly talk me through combo actions, Dan.
So, let me just get the rules. They're called tag team roles.
Mm-hmm.
So, the idea is each player, once per session, can do a tag team move with another PC.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is you have to spend the person initiating the tag team role spends 3 hope to do this, and describing how we work together to achieve what the action is. We both roll whatever it is we need to roll, and we will take whoever's got the higher roll as the result of this action. If it was an attack, then we would be adding both our damage rolls together. But because this is more of a maneuver we're trying to do, I think this would be more of a...
In which case, yeah.
Rolling to succeed.
100%. So, Goru, I'm going to suggest if you're hoiking Twig up into the air, that's a strength check. And I'm assuming you're turning your sword, your big flat sword, and using
it as a bouncing
like a
platform.
Lever, a pinball lever. And Twig, I'm going to need you to roll me an agility to see if you can sort of...
-1, guys.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, the two of you roll, and then you both take the highest of your 2 results.
Let me just take off my hope a minute, just so I know.
So you're
So
down
that's
to
3
2.
hope gone. And I'm going to make my roll, and this is a +2 for my strength. Yeah. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got a 15 with fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a 9. It's a 12 with fear.
So I got the
13,
higher roll and the
so
fear.
Oh, 12. Yep.
happens.
So 12 with fear,
And a
from
15.
Twig, and a 15 with fear. Okay, so
Yeah. So the 15 with fear is the higher roll in this circumstance.
okay. In which case, and do I get 2 fear because you both rolled with fear?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
I think so.
So, in which case, Twig, you just, like, you scamper onto Goru's blade, and then with a heft, you are launched straight up into the air. Goru, you manage to shoot on target, and Twig, as you go up, you kind of arc towards, like, gently towards the Arcanist. And, like, as you kind of think to yourself, where am I gonna, like, I'm gonna have to grab onto her and sort of, like, hold onto her side or something. And you, boom, like, land just on this invisible field that's kind of, like, the shield that she's erected around herself. And you just kind of, like, you stick, like, you manage to spread out and kind of grab hold as best you can to get as much surface tension to create friction to keep you where you are. And then you're able to sort of like lift your wrists away from the shield and do your kind of wiggly magic things. And there's a... And suddenly she is encased in fog. How can I show that? Sorry, we know. And then, presumably, as you slide, like, as you begin to slide off the spherical shield, Goru manages to catch you on the way down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, as this shield, we'll put that around her like that, as that shield emerges around the Arcanist, and the four of you, well, like, Twig, you drop back down and you look around, you noticing that there's a second, you've seen that there is a second wraith, and the skeletons are closing in. I think we're going to call it there.
Woof. Woof.
So, yeah, we will see how you lot do with dear old Arcanist here. So that's going to be next week, isn't it? Next Thursday 11th. So yes, thank you all for playing. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch Sheldon just before he goes, but yeah, thank you all. If you enjoyed this, then yeah, please like the video if you haven't already. We were going to do this fortnightly, but we're going to do this weekly until we're finished. And then even when we're finished, we might be doing it a little bit longer, depending on how we feel, depending on how things go. Apologies for all of the technical difficulties, but we made it. We made it through. If you want to see more stuff like this, then you should subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon for notifications of new uploads, because we're releasing things quite frequently nowadays. Our main campaign, which releases on Sundays, stars our Nate down there. It is a Blades in the Dark campaign called Elysia Rising, set in the Elsewhere setting, which is our kind of episodic campaign world. This is a second campaign set in that setting. So if you like Peaky Blinders but wished it had more dragon people and like fancy races, yeah, tantric foot rubs, then make sure to check that out. Yeah, let us know in the comments like if there's anything we got wrong. Please let us know so we can make sure we get it right for the next time. If there's anything that you're like surprised by Daggerheart, or things that you think are cool and worth mentioning, then yeah, make sure you chuck all that down in the comments as well. I think that's it. Cool. Well, thank you everyone again for watching and or playing. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.